What's good, y'all? We're right back at it for another review of Sistas by Tyler Perry, Season 5, Episode 19, entitled Truth Hurts. So let's go ahead and get into the discussion, man. So the show opens up actually where we left off with the previous show with Andy, Fatima, and Karen standing inside of Andy's house, and they're obviously in deep discussion about, I'm a good friend, and I've always watched out for you. And this is Andy talking, and Karen is, she's been Karen from what I've seen from her in the last 2.5 episodes. It's been a little bit of attitude here and there. Now, I can understand that she's hurt to a certain degree, but there's a level of disrespect. Number one, let's go ahead and get this out the way, right? You have to have plenty gall to kick me out of your house, tell me to get the F out of your house, and then have the audacity to show up at my house, like unannounced, and listening through the elevator. Like, I'm still trying to understand how that whole situation went down. But I'm like, and then you stand here so disrespectful in my house, insulting, my friend who happens to be Fatima. I just don't get it. Like, I can understand her frustration. She feels some type of way about Fatima's friendship with Karen. So I can see that. But at the same time, there has to be a level, an equal level of respect on both parties. And I just feel at this point, Karen is getting a little beside herself with this whole situation. But I hope it gets better. I'm not sure what Tyler is trying to do with this storyline. So we'll see. I guess we'll find out in the next episode. But as of right now, Fatima and Karen, they're going back and forth. Karen is wanting to just say her piece and be done with it. Fatima is like, why did you kiss Zach? And she was like, look, I just gave him a kiss on the cheek. And that was that. He came over, dropped off the documents for me to sign. I just wanted to tell him thank you. And I think she was being pretty genuine in that. I think she, understood that Fatima didn't have anything to do with that, but she still felt some type of way, and she was just lashing out. That's personally what I felt. All right, so next we got Gary, who's at a restaurant once again, and he looks like he's, in deep thought. So he then turns around and calls Hayden, who happens to be in the same position that he was in when he called him last night, which he's still in the bed. He's acting in typical Hayden fashion, like, man, didn't I tell you not to call me? All of this stuff. And he was like, look, I've done a little bit of research. The money is actually in the business account. And he's like, okay, Hayden's like, he pretty much told the truth. Like, okay, we'll deal with that tomorrow. I could see what he was talking about. Like, we'll deal with that when I get to work. I'll research it. I've already told you that. But he was like, no. I got to connect, at the wire department. So I see where it came from, and I call. So he gives this name, Harry Wells Lanton. So Harry Wells Lanton obviously was a previous client that Hayden remembered that Andy represented, and that he said, okay, I'll look a little bit more into it. So, of course, when he conveyed that information to Gary, Gary's all distraught and like, oh, man, I can't believe she did this. Like, why would she do this to me? Like, bruh, first off, man, you are doing all of this to win a girl that is, she's not interested in you that way, Gary. Like, like, on the real, man, like, I don't understand dudes like this. Like, you don't understand at this point. Andy is playing these games, man, with all these dudes on this show that she's in a relationship with, to a certain extent. She's playing, from what I can tell, she's playing Robin. She's playing Gary. And I mean, any other dude that she's come in contact with, she's playing with him. Like a lot of dudes do. I mean, you got to respect her hustle, man. She's out here getting it. And Gary is so infatuated with what's the whole mindset of just Andy, he and Andy, that he's not realizing that this girl is in it to win, man. Like, dude, you're doing all of this for love's sake, as you say, but it's not, it's really scary. It really is. If a man, ladies, if a man is doing all of this for you, it can seem sweet. It can seem adorable, as you guys like to say. But for a man to go over and beyond when you know it's unhealthy, because at this point, you already know that this guy has you in a condo where, number one, he was watching your every move. I mean, he's keeping tabs on you, where you're going, who you're talking to. That's not a healthy relationship. And as a matter of fact, it's the complete opposite. I mean, when someone is trying to delegate what you need to do, how you need to do it, I mean, it becomes a dictatorship, and that's not what love is. And then on the flip side of it, I have to be honest, ladies, as well. As much as I could say, Andy is out here on her grind. You gotta respect her in that mindset. I get it, but like the old women used to say, there's no way that a woman can outrun a man. Like, it is what it is. And you have to be careful when you just give yourself to a lot of people. And I tell this to brothers as well. Like, we have to be mindful of who we give ourselves to, man, and what we're willing to do to move up that ladder. But we'll talk about that later, man. But I'm just saying, there's a lot of discussion that we could talk about just with this storyline alone. But let's go ahead and get back into it. All right, so now we see Aaron and Karen over at I'm rhyming now. Aaron and Karen at Karen's place, where he's made breakfast for, and Karen pretty much just tells him, she doesn't feel like eating at this point. Her stomach is a little upset due to the pregnancy, but she appreciated him cooking for her. It didn't look like he did too much, but I'm leaving that. I think that nigga was eating a bagel or something. I don't know, man. So Karen pretty much told him that she apologized to, well, let me go back a little bit. Karen apologized to Aaron, but she also thanked him for standing up against Zach. And then she told him, that, still be on the lookout for Zach, because once he gets things in his mind, that, it's hard for him to let those thoughts go. It's hard for me to really understand what she's doing with that whole statement, because essentially she's still putting negative energy. She's still putting negative thoughts out about her ex, man. Look, Zach has moved on. And from what Karen stated last night to Fatima, she has moved on with Aaron, and she's happy. So leave it at that. I just don't understand the negative thoughts that she's placing out there in the atmosphere. I just don't get that. But she apologized to him, thanked him for being there. And then she also told him that she apologized as well to Andy. So the next thing we see is Sabrina, and she's at home, and she receives a call from Bayo. Now, Bayo is the African prince or king or something like that. I believe he's the African prince. And he calls and he's apologizing about last night, all the comments that he made about Maurice, and, is he gonna run? He's a criminal. No, he didn't feel too good about that. So he calls her back and he asks, could he come over And she says, yeah, and he said, well, I'll be on my way. So then we see that Calvin is in the next room, so she goes over to share the information with Calvin. Calvin's in his feelings, of course, because what man wouldn't be in his feelings? I'm telling you, okay, Calvin likes Sabrina. We can tell that he loves Sabrina. But Sabrina isn't giving him the time of day because of what society says about men like Calvin. Now, I'm not sure of his sexuality, but at this point, this man has proven to Sabrina that he's dedicated to Sabrina. It's hard for me to sit here and see this man pouring his heart out. He's doing everything he possibly can to let this woman know that, hey, I'm here for you. I'm ready to take this to the next level. But he knows deep down inside that he's not what she's looking for. So, he's hurt. So his comments when he makes, what did you have to do to get him to say yes to giving her the 1.5 million, I believe? Damn, that's a lot of money. I wasn't sure what old boy's response was going to be when he came back in, because I'm like, if I'm giving you 1.5 million and we not together, I don't know. I don't know what my response would be, but I could see why Calvin's response was what it was. Like, what you got to give up to get that type of dough? So she's like, look, she's reassuring him that, hey, it ain't that type of party. I'm just trying to do this for Maurice. But she's not being honest here. She knows that she feels some type of way about Bio. And let's be real, communication is key here. It's no problem with, you guys are not attached. Y'all laid down in the bed before, that's all, that it is what it is. But at the same time, you got feelings for Bio. So just go ahead and tell, Calvin how you really feel. He knows how you feel. And just be straightforward about that. So in the next scene, we see that Bio comes over and long story short, he stated that he would give her the money. Anything that she needed, he would do for her because he wants her to be happy, but he just wanted to be sure that Maurice wouldn't run. So she said, definitely he would not run. And he said, of course, I would do whatever you need me to do. She calls Andy to inform her of, the good news. And Andy's like, what? Who is this guy? Like, who's willing to give you $1.5 million, And she was like, well, I can't really tell you right now. And she was like, okay. But she throws up a question mark, like, okay, who is this, that's willing to give this amount of money? She's asking the same damn question anybody else would, right? So they go to breakfast, and of course, he gonna be the man. He gonna drive like I do my wife. And my wife don't have to drive. You're a princess. You know what I'm saying? So then we go over to Andy's apartment once again, her condo. They both getting dressed, getting ready to go out, start their day. He's pleasant. He's happy because he know what today is. He's ready to go to war with her boss. And so he pretty much goes in there. He pretty much tells her, I know you already know what's about to go down today. Don't play no games with me. Initially, Andy is like, I don't know what you're talking about, but we all know, obviously, Andy, for an attorney, she doesn't play it well at all. She doesn't really have a poker face at all. So, she's easy to read. So, essentially, he lets her know that he didn't really appreciate it, but he can respect her hustle because she conveys to him that, hey, I'm so close to being partner, and I felt like what you were doing was really, throwing a monkey wrench into, what I had going on at the law firm. So I get both sides. Like, he's doing it for selfish reasons. She's doing it for professional reasons. And I'm not going to pick one over the other, but I do feel like at this point, I'm not sure exactly what Gary's going to do when he actually gets into the office, because of what she shared with him. Like, you're causing me hurt and harm at this point. So I need you to do something different. And I'm not sure. I would be interested to see how Gary is going to respond when he actually gets in front of Robin and the other partners in at the law firm. So we get to the part where Maurice calls Calvin, and he's comical as usual. He's trying to, find out what's going on. And Calvin lets him know a little bit of information. He really doesn't want to tell him anything because he's already salty about the whole situation because she's going through, bio, and, he don't really want to give the nigga no credit. So, I mean, I get it, man. So, but Maurice is like, he's excited, but he doesn't want to, he's still trying to be, hard in the jail. I mean, just for me, I'm not sure about y'all, but for me, it's getting a little frustrating because it doesn't have to be this. It doesn't have to be this serious with this situation because, number one, she's blaming him for his response when his response was predicated on how she delivered her message. If she would have came in and just simply said, "Hey Zach, can you explain to me what this is," without being so antagonistic, I think he would have responded a lot differently. But the fact that she came in so very aggressively, and she was like, "Hey, what the hell is this?" Like, I mean, I even drew up a little bit because I'm like, hold on, you're approaching this situation in the wrong fashion, and we have to do a lot better in our relationships if we're going to actually accomplish what the ultimate goal is. Like I said before, and I'm going to just say this as a man, we're going to have to do better and be better, man. If we're going to be able to progress and have the next generation be better than we are, this whole dysfunction within our marriages, within our relationships, it can all, it has a start somewhere, but we can also, and always, I always say it like this: we're always evolving. We're always, becoming better than we were yesterday. People go to school to be, better, to better themselves, to get better jobs, to be better financially, but we also have to be better when it comes to relationships, communication. The night before, if you notice, she was talking all this. I'm not here for no reason but to get my clothes, you know what I'm saying? And I'm gone. But then she had such an aggressiveness about herself when she walked in, and she pretty much told Zach, "Hey, yeah, I'm cool to stay here, but you're going to have to do some things for me." She communicated with him. And as you notice, he communicated back to her in a form that, in a way that she was giving it back to him. So he received and he listened to her in the same way that she heard him, but I don't think she really heard him until later on that morning when he actually had her in a position where she was willing to hear him. Another thing that I noticed is that she actually had that ring back on her finger. So all that talk that she was talking last night, I'm thinking about it, all this stuff, she knew what she wanted to do because she had heard the information directly from the horse's mouth, which was Karen. She heard what it was. That's why she was back at home. So hey ladies, let's kill it. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to drop some gems on this channel, but at the same time, man, it is hilarious sometimes, man, because we play these games with one another, but at the same time, we love each other. Let's stop all of that, man. Let's get back at it, man. So here's my question, though. Why in the hell is this man apologizing the whole damn show? Like, I mean, listen, there's not that much in the world to be apologetic about. Nigga, you ain't do that daggone much, man. Listen, you made a mistake. You elevated your voice. You didn't put your hands on her. I mean, you just pretty much, you were emotional about the whole situation. But to apologize for the whole damn show, I'm still just trying to understand what's the purpose in all of this? And then she's standing there like, yes, you need to apologize more. And I'm like, huh? Like, for what? Like, what are we doing? Like, and then, I mean, that's a whole different discussion, and maybe we can talk about that on another video or something like that. But the way she was just standing there, like eating it up, like, okay, you need to give me more. And then she even, she gets a phone call in between asking about Heather, and and she was getting this information, I'm assuming, from her mole who was dealing with Hayden. So I think she got that going on, and that's progressing. So, well, I guess we'll see that in the next episode or so. And then she gets back to Zach, and she was like, no, why are you sorry? Because I want to hear. And it's almost like, once again, we're in this state where I'm trying to see, are you man enough for me? It's like a test. Now, this man was here. You were here. Now, you both were in this context together, right? So you guys were both listening to one another, right? So why am I the one that has to repeat back to you what I've learned? I don't get that. It's like, that's what we do with children. Like, now, what lesson did we learn? What can we do to be better? And then, but it's like, this nigga was the only one that made a mistake in the house that day. Like, your approach was wrong. I need an apology. The way you came into the house and attacked me and came at me in a fashion that made me go from 1 to 10 so very quickly. I need an apology, but I'm not receiving that from you. She said, look, I'm on your side. If I wasn't on your side, I wouldn't be handling this business for you that I got going on right now, dealing with Hayden and Heather, your baby mother. Now, I'm still not, from what I've been reading, I don't know necessarily if the child is really his or not. So I would still possibly get a DNA test on that situation, because if it has anything to do with Hayden, then, I might be a little skeptical about that. So with that being said, let's go ahead and move on to the next topic here, which is Danni and Q. Now, from the previous episode, I saw that a lot of people were upset about this situation. So I wondered why so many people were upset about this whole situation. So when I went back to look at some of the comments, I went back to look at some of the previous episodes, I saw where this dude had, pretty much had Maurice locked up. And I talked a little bit about that in the previous video. And, he's done some things to put himself in a position, and in order for him to get into those positions where he would have, a roof over his head, clothes on his back, and food in the refrigerator, he pretty much did some underhanded things to some people who didn't see it coming. And that's why I always tell people, man, you can't trust everybody. And unfortunately, Maurice fell for the wrong guy, and it is what it is. So hopefully everything works out for him. But we see them in the bed together, and Danni has this, she has this, this pillow in between them to keep him from her. But I'm like, hold on. It's funny, but it's not funny, because Danni is in this situation because she chose to sleep with a man that she's barely known a week. I'm not sure how Tyler Perry's, days run on these shows, but it seemed like it was possibly a week, at the most 2 weeks, but I'm assuming it was about a week. But she gets with these guys that she barely knows, and she lays with them. She gives the best part of herself to them, and then she has all of these, these boundaries against them. But you've given them the best part of you, and I'm just like, look, you've already given the nigga the cookie. So why you got a boundary in between you? It is what it is at this point. But now she wants him to go. And I was a little, quite honest, man, looking from the things I've read about old boy, I was thinking this was going to go down a lot differently than it did, because it could have been like, the previous guy that she had the one night stand with. He could have been a lot more aggressive. And thankfully, Tyler Perry didn't write it that way. But, I mean, I'm glad that it finally came out that this is the show, this is the episode, that the truth finally comes out about this guy named Q. And it's sort of, getting to the point now where we're starting to see a resolve in all of this. So Danny wants Q to leave. She said, well, you can go ahead and take a shower, a real quick shower, but pretty much get your tail up out of my house. I don't want to see you. I see you at work. You know what I'm saying? And she operating like the thugs do, you know what I'm saying? She operating like that, like, okay, hit it and quit it, let's go. There's some people out there like that, man. And then there are some people who actually have feelings for people, once you give yourself to them, you have an attachment to that person. But when you put yourself in a situation where it's not important to you, it's just sex, it is what it is, then that's a dangerous game to be in, because you place yourself in predicaments that you wouldn't normally be in. And that's all I'm going to say about that. All right, so this is when it gets comical, right? So now Sabrina has a key to Danny's house, and Q is in the shower getting clean. He didn't take no quick shower. I guess it was quick enough because it was right on time. So Danny gets a phone call from Sabrina. Sabrina calls her. She's trying to tell her about the great news. Did she call? No, I take that back. That was Preston that called her. And Preston was like, hey, you want to go out to get something to eat? She's like, no, she really don't want to say too much because she got old boy in the shower. He's talking about, hey, I can come over. She really doesn't want him to come over because old boy's in the shower. So the guy that she really has feelings for, she can't have him over because she got old boy in the shower. Like, he's messing up everything. So she was like, no, and once again, we have this tug of war of emotions. Like, she loves him. She has feelings for him to a certain extent, but she really doesn't know how to deal with Preston because he's not, she hasn't really thought about being married to somebody outside of, who she's used to being around. And I'm going to just leave it at that. And that's really what she's dealing with at this moment, is that I want to be around somebody that is, that I'm comfortable with being around. I want to have conversations that I'm comfortable with having. And with you force me to be uncomfortable. And I don't like that. So she pretty much puts up a wall at that point. So now this is the funny part. Sabrina comes over and she has a key to Danny's house. And old boy is still in the shower. So I was like, oh, it's about to go down, right? So Sabrina comes in. She's happy. She's ready to tell Danny about the good news. So she comes in. Danny's like, oh, shit. Like, okay, what in the world am I going to do? I got old boy in the shower. And now Sabrina's coming over to the bed. She's looking at the bed. It's all over the place. She knows something has gone down. So old boy comes out. And that's where the episode ends. So I don't know what Tyler is doing. I'm glad it didn't go down what I was perceiving in my head it was going to go down. But I'm interested. I'm very intrigued about what the next episode, what episode 20 is going to be about. I'm ready to see it, and I'm ready to have the dialogue. So I'm going to end this episode with this. So if you like this, this content, please hit the like button, hit the thumbs up. Also subscribe to the channel. I want to know what your thoughts were on this episode. What could we have seen done differently in this episode, and what would you have done differently if you were one of these characters on this show, in some of the context in which we saw tonight. So talk to you soon. Peace.